The morning sun of Prime cast long shadows across the Galactic Combat Institute's training grounds. Maya Collins stood alone in the center of the practice arena, her feet planted shoulder-width apart, knees slightly bent. Her hands hung loose at her sides, ready but relaxed. It was the same stance her father had taught her back on their Montana farm, the same position she had held 1,000 times before. Around her, alien cadets moved through their morning routines with fluid grace. Their movements were assisted by gravitational dampeners that made them float like dancers. Neural predictors blinked on their helmets, calculating optimal strike patterns before they even threw a punch. Energy shields shimmered around their bodies, protecting them from any real harm. Maya wore none of it, just simple combat fatigues and her own 2 hands. "Look at the human," the voice came from across the arena. Maya did not need to turn to know who spoke. Commander stood nearly 8 feet tall, his chitinous armor plates gleaming purple in the sunlight, his 4 eyes fixed on her with something between amusement and contempt. Still pretending that primitive stance will save her. Several other cadets laughed. A warrior with 4 arms gestured dismissively. "She stands there like a tree waiting to be cut down. Does Earth not have technology?" Maya kept her breathing steady. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. "Let them talk, kiddo. Words don't win fights. Physics does." Lieutenant Brooks approached from the sidelines. He was the only other human at the Institute, accepted 3 months before Maya. Unlike her, he wore a standard neural predictor and gravitational assist units on his legs. "Maya, you should at least try the basic equipment. Everyone uses it." "Everyone here," Maya said quietly. "Back home, we learned different." Shook his head. "This isn't home. This is the Galactic Combat Institute. The best warriors from 200 worlds train here. You can't face them with just Earth techniques." Before Maya could respond, instructor's voice boomed across the arena. They stood on the raised observation platform, all 4 arms crossed. "Attention, cadets. Sparring matches begin in 10 minutes. Today's focus is advanced momentum redirection using gravitational assist." Maya felt her stomach tighten. She had no gravitational assist. She would have to rely on actual footwork, real body mechanics, the kind that depended on understanding leverage and force rather than letting a computer do it for her. The first matches began. Maya watched as alien warriors clashed with impressive speed. Their technology predicted each other's moves, creating complex exchanges that looked beautiful but somehow felt empty. When someone got hit, their energy shields absorbed the impact. No one really felt the consequences of a poorly executed technique. Collins' voice cut through her thoughts. "You're up against Cadet." The arena fell quiet. Maya walked to the center circle. Across from her, cracked his neck joints with a sound like breaking wood. His neural predictor hummed to life, scanning her body for movement patterns. "Try not to embarrass your whole planet, human," said. "I know your kind is new to the coalition, but this is just sad." Maya settled into her stance, weight on the balls of her feet, center of gravity low, hands up but not tense. Everything her father had drilled into her since she was 6 years old. His voice counted down. 3, 2, 1, begin. Moved with enhanced speed, crossing the distance between them in a heartbeat. His fist came at Maya's head in a straight line, powered by gravitational assist that would have shattered concrete. Maya shifted her weight, turned her hips, and let the punch slide past her ear. She felt the wind of its passing. Eyes widened in surprise. His neural predictor had predicted she would try to block, not evade. She did not counterattack, not yet. Instead, she reset her stance and waited. Attacked again, this time with a combination. High punch, low kick, spinning strike, all enhanced, all predicted by his computer. Maya moved like water, her footwork carrying her just out of range each time. She had no technology telling her where to go. She just understood angles and distance the way humans had for thousands of years. "Stand still and fight," roared. "I am fighting," Maya said calmly. The alien warrior's next attack was pure frustration. He charged straight at her, all 4 arms reaching to grapple. Maya dropped low, drove her shoulder into his center mass, and used his own momentum to flip him over her back. He crashed to the mat with a heavy thud. The watching cadets gasped. His energy shield had absorbed the impact, but his pride had not. He climbed to his feet, mandibles clicking in anger. "Lucky," he spat. "Physics," Maya corrected. Called the match before it could continue. "Enough," Collins, your evasion is adequate, but you scored no meaningful strikes. In real combat, survival is not victory. Maya bowed and left the circle. She knew the instructor was right by the standards taught here, but she also knew something they did not. She had survived against superior technology using nothing but technique. That meant something. As she walked to the sidelines, his voice followed her. 3 weeks from today, human, I challenge you to a ceremonial duel in the main arena. We will see if your primitive Earth stance can save you when I am not holding back. The other cadets murmured with excitement. Ceremonial duels were rare, reserved for settling serious disputes or demonstrating exceptional skill. They were broadcast across the galaxy, watched by millions. The stakes were not just personal. They represented entire species and worlds. Maya felt every eye on her, grabbed her arm. You don't have to accept. Ceremonial duels can end careers if you lose badly enough. Ambassador Murphy stood from her seat in the observation area. The Earth diplomat's face was tight with concern. She would be thinking about politics, about Earth's reputation in the coalition, about how this could affect humanity's standing among the stars. Maya looked at. The alien warrior stood tall, confident, surrounded by cadets who believed technology made them invincible. They had never trained on a high gravity. They had never learned to fight without safety equipment. They had never felt the real cost of a mistake. I accept, Maya said clearly. The arena erupted in shocked conversation, closed his eyes. Ambassador Murphy's face went pale. Expression remained neutral, but all 4 of his arms uncrossed slowly. Slav boomed across the arena. Excellent, 3 weeks human, prepare to show the galaxy what Earth truly is, weak, primitive, irrelevant. Maya did not respond. She simply bowed, turned, and walked away. Her mind was already working, already planning. 3 weeks was not much time, but it would be enough. She had something none of them understood. She had learned to fight where physics was not a theory, it was survival. That night, Maya sat alone in her quarters, reviewing footage of alien combat styles on her data pad. Every species at the Institute had developed their fighting techniques in low-consequence environments. Their safety equipment had been there from the beginning, allowing them to train without real danger. They had never needed to understand the true nature of force, leverage, and momentum. Earth had no such luxury. Humans learned to fight on a planet that killed the careless. They trained with real pain, real injury, real consequences. Every technique had been earned through generations of hard experience. Maya pulled up the arena specifications. Reinforced walls rated to contain energy blasts up to Class 7. Safety fields that could absorb kinetic impacts up to 12,000 pounds per square inch. The training facility was empty at midnight. Maya preferred it this way. No eyes watching, no voices mocking, no pressure from well-meaning diplomats who saw her as a political liability. Just her, the practice mats, and the truth of movement. She moved through her forms slowly. Judo throws, wrestling shoots, Thai clinches. Each technique had been refined over centuries by humans who understood one simple fact. When you fall wrong, you break. When you get hit wrong, you go unconscious. There were no safety fields in a street fight, no gravitational dampeners in a war zone. Her tablet sat on the bench, playing footage of previous matches. The warrior was good, she had to admit. Fast, strong, and experienced. His neural predictor gave him a split-second advantage in reading opponents. His gravitational assist let him move in ways that normal physics. But that was the problem, Maya thought. He did not move according to normal physics. He moved according to artificial physics created by his equipment, and artificial systems had weaknesses. You should be sleeping. His voice came from the doorway. He walked in wearing his casual uniform, hair messy from bed. The duel is in 2.5 weeks. You need rest. I need understanding, Maya said. She gestured to the tablet. Watch this, 3rd match around the 4-minute mark. Sat and played the footage. Faced a warrior, a species known for incredible reflexes. He attacked with a spinning kick, fast and powerful. His neural predictor calculated the trajectory and his body moved to intercept, guided by his gravitational assist. I see it, said. He countered perfectly. No, Maya said. His equipment countered perfectly. Watch his stance right before the prediction kicked in. His weight is all wrong. He's leaning forward when he should be centered, but the gravitational assist compensates for the error. Frowned so he never learned proper balance. None of them did. Maya stood and demonstrated. When I throw a punch, my whole body has to support it. My feet, legs, hips, core, shoulders, all working together. If one part is wrong, the punch is weak or I fall over. I learned that through failure, through getting it wrong and paying the price. She pointed at the screen. Never paid that price. His equipment caught him every time he made a mistake. He developed bad habits that technology hides. Leaned back thinking, that's interesting, but I don't see how it helps. His technology still works. Bad habits or not, he'll predict your moves and move faster than you can. Maya smiled, only if I move predictably. She spent the next hour showing what she meant. Random micro-adjustments in her stance, irregular timing in her strikes, subtle weight shifts that meant nothing by themselves but confused pattern recognition software. The neural predictors were sophisticated, but they relied on consistent data. Make yourself inconsistent enough, and they started guessing wrong. That's clever, admitted. But even if you confuse his predictor, he's still stronger and faster than you. In a straight fight, yes, Maya agreed. That's why I won't fight straight. Over the next week, Maya trained harder than ever before. She ran the Institute's obstacle course without gravitational assist, building real leg strength instead of artificial enhancement. She practiced falls and rolls until her body knew instinctively how to absorb impact. She studied physics simulations, not of combat, but of basic kinetic energy transfer. The Institute's computers were designed to help cadets analyze alien combat techniques. Maya used them differently. She calculated force vectors, momentum multiplication, and the specific tensile strength of at various stress points. On the 8th day, Ambassador Murphy cornered her after morning training. The diplomat's face was lined with stress. "Lieutenant Collins, we need to talk." They walked to a private conference room. Murphy sat heavily, looking older than her 45 years. "Maya, I'm going to be direct. Earth's position in the Galactic Coalition is fragile. We're the new kids, the primitives from a backwater. Half the council members think we're too violent to be trusted. The other half think we're too weak to matter." "I know," Maya said. "Then you know that this duel matters beyond your personal pride." Murphy's voice was firm but not unkind. "If you lose badly, it confirms every stereotype about humanity. We become the laughingstock species, the ones who thought they could compete without technology. Our trade agreements suffer. Our diplomatic influence drops. Everything we've worked for takes a step backward." Maya met the ambassador's eyes. "And if I withdraw?" "We save face. You can say you were honored by the challenge but chose to focus on your training. No shame in that. Gets his victory by default, but at least we avoid the spectacle of you being humiliated on galactic broadcast." "You think I'll be humiliated?" Murphy hesitated. "I think you're brave and skilled. I also think you're facing an 8-foot warrior with 400 years of military tradition and technology we don't fully understand. I think the odds are not in your favor." Maya stood. "Ambassador, with respect, I'm not withdrawing. This isn't about pride. It's about showing the galaxy that Earth's methods have value, that we bring something to the coalition besides raw materials and warm bodies." "What if you're wrong?" Murphy asked quietly. "Then I'll lose and we'll deal with the consequences together," Maya said. "But I'm not wrong." After Murphy left, looking unconvinced but resigned, Maya returned to her research. The arena specifications were publicly available, designed for transparency in ceremonial combat. She had read them a dozen times, but now she focused on specific details. The reinforced walls were rated for energy weapons up to Class 7. That meant they could absorb directed particle beams, plasma bursts, and focused laser strikes. The safety rating was calculated based on energy dissipation over a wide surface area. But kinetic impacts were different. A punch or kick spread force across wherever it landed. Predictable, manageable, easily absorbed by the wall's molecular structure. What about force concentrated on a single point? What about momentum not from a person's muscles, but from their muscles plus gravitational enhancement, all redirected through leverage into the smallest possible area? Maya ran the calculations 3 times. The numbers looked impossible, but physics did not lie. If she could redirect enhanced momentum perfectly, use his own gravitational assist against him, focus all that force through a single point of impact. The wall might not hold. She sat back, heart pounding. This was dangerous, not just for the arena, but for her. The technique would require perfect timing, perfect positioning, and a willingness to absorb significant impact herself. One mistake and she would be the one smashing into the wall at unnatural speed. Her tablet chimed, a message from home. She opened it and saw her father's weathered face. He was sitting in the garage workshop where he had taught her to fight, surrounded by old heavy bags and worn mats. "Hey, kiddo," the recording said. "Your mom told me about the duel. I'm not gonna give you advice because you know what you're doing better than I do now. I just wanted to remind you why we trained the way we did." He stood and walked to an old photograph on the wall. It showed him as a young man, standing in a boxing ring with his own coach. "My teacher used to say that fancy equipment is great until it breaks. Then you better know how to fight with what you were born with. The galaxy has amazing technology, and that's wonderful. But don't let anyone tell you that makes our way obsolete." His eyes looked directly at the camera. "You're going to make the choice that feels right to you. Win or lose, I'm proud, not because you're my daughter, though that helps. Because you're facing something scary and you're not backing down. That's what matters." The message ended. Maya wiped her eyes quickly and stood, 2 weeks left, time to refine the plan. She trained differently now, with purpose beyond general preparation. She practiced a specific throw, the same one she had used on during their first sparring match. But now she focused on the angle, the leverage point, the exact moment of release. She practiced against the heaviest training dummies, using the maximum resistance settings. "Notice the change. You're preparing something specific." "Yes." "Are you going to tell me what?" Maya paused mid-throw. "If it works, you'll see it. If it doesn't, better you don't know the plan I screwed up." He laughed, but there was concern in his eyes. "You know half the Institute has bet against you. The odds are up to 1,500 to 1. "Good," Maya said. "That means someone's going to make a lot of money when I win." "That confident?" She thought about the calculations, the force vectors, the single moment where everything would either work perfectly or fail catastrophically. Not confident, committed. The main arena of the Galactic Combat Institute could hold 10,000 spectators. Today, every seat was filled. Maya stood in the preparation chamber beneath the arena floor, listening to the roar of the crowd above. It sounded like an ocean, rising and falling with anticipation. Through the small window in the door, she could see the arena floor. It gleamed under powerful lights, a perfect circle 50 meters across. The walls rose 15 meters high, reinforced that had contained countless battles. At the top, safety fields shimmered, ready to protect spectators from any debris or energy discharge. 5 minutes, Lieutenant Collins." The attendant was a small, barely 4 feet tall. His large eyes showed genuine concern. "You can still withdraw. No one would think less of you." "Yes, they would," Maya said quietly, "and they'd be right to." She checked her gear one last time. Simple combat fatigues, flexible but durable, lightweight boots with good traction. No weapons, no enhancements, no safety equipment beyond what the arena itself provided. Just her and the skills Earth had given her. The door to the opposite preparation chamber opened. Emerged, and the crowd's roar doubled in volume. The warrior raised all 4 arms in salute, his chitinous armor gleaming. Neural predictors blinked on his helmet like malevolent eyes. Gravitational assist units hummed on his legs and arms, ready to multiply his already formidable strength. Maya closed her eyes and took 3 deep breaths. In through the nose, filling the lungs completely, out through the mouth, releasing tension. Her father had taught her this before her first amateur boxing match when she was 12 years old. It worked then. It would work now. "Lieutenant Collins, you're on." The attendant opened her door. Maya walked out into a wall of sound. The crowd's noise washed over her, a mix of cheers, jeers, and curious murmurs. She scanned the stands quickly and found the Earth delegation. Ambassador Murphy sat rigid, hands clasped tight, was beside her looking like he might be sick. A few dozen other humans were scattered among thousands of aliens, their faces showing everything from hope to dread. Instructor stood at the center of the arena, all 4 arms raised for silence. The crowd gradually quieted. His voice, amplified by the arena's sound system, rang out clear and formal. "We gather today to witness a ceremonial duel between Commander of and Lieutenant Maya Collins of Earth. The rules are ancient and simple. Combat continues until one fighter surrenders, is rendered unconscious, or leaves the arena boundary. All technological enhancements are permitted. Lethal force is permitted, though the arena's safety systems will intervene to prevent death." Maya felt her heart rate pick up. Lethal force permitted. That was standard for ceremonial duels meant to show true warrior spirit. The safety fields would stop a killing blow, but not before the intent was clear. This was not practice. This was real. Fighters, take your positions, gestured to opposite sides of the circle. Strode to his mark with confident ease. He performed a complex series of stretches, showing off his flexibility and power. The crowd loved it, cheering each movement. He was giving them a show, playing to the audience. Maya walked to her mark and simply stood there, feet shoulder-width apart, knees slightly bent, hands loose at her sides, the Earthborn stance that had drawn so much mockery over the past 3 weeks. From the stands, she heard laughter, not from everyone, but enough to sting. She blocked it out. Their opinions did not matter, only physics mattered. The duel begins in 30 seconds, announced. Fighters acknowledge the honor of this combat. Maya bowed, a simple gesture of respect, laughed and made an elaborate gesture with all 4 arms that was probably meaningful in culture, but looked theatrical to Maya. 15 seconds. Maya rolled her shoulders, feeling her muscles warm and ready. She had run through the plan 1,000 times in her mind. Now came the hard part, executing it perfectly while someone tried to break her in half. 10 seconds. Activated his enhancements. The gravitational assist units flared to life with a high-pitched whine. His neural predictor's lights intensified, scanning Maya's stance and building its prediction algorithms. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, begin. Exploded forward with inhuman speed. The gravitational assist let him cross 20 meters in less than 2 seconds. His first strike came fast and hard, a straight punch aimed at Maya's center mass with enough force to crack ribs even through the safety fields. Maya shifted her weight, turned her hips, and let the punch slide past. She felt the wind of its passing, felt how much power was behind it. Good. She needed that power. Second attack was a low sweep, trying to take her legs. Maya jumped over it, landing light. The neural predictor had anticipated a dodge backward. She was already learning to read its patterns, to see the microdelays between prediction and execution. "Stand still, human," his voice boomed. The crowd laughed again. Maya did not respond. She was counting steps, measuring distances, positioning herself exactly where she needed to be. The arena wall was behind her, 10 meters and closing as she gave ground before assault. He came at her with a combination attack. High, low, middle, spinning strike, all enhanced, all predicted by his computer. Maya evaded each one, her footwork carrying her in a careful spiral. To the crowd, it looked like she was being driven back, forced into retreat by superior technology. Ambassador Murphy probably had her face in her hands by now, would be wondering if she had a plan or was just trying to survive. The aliens in the crowd would be confirming their beliefs that Earth's techniques were outdated and ineffective. Let them think that. Maya needed them to think that. Pressed harder, growing confident. His attacks came faster, powered by the gravitational assist to speeds that no unenhanced being could match. Maya felt the strain now. Her legs burned from constant movement. Her breath came harder, but she kept her stance low, her center of gravity stable, exactly as her father had taught her. 8 meters to the wall, 7, 6. "This is embarrassing," said between strikes. The mighty human warrior running like prey. Is this what Earth sends to the stars? Cowards who cannot even face battle properly. Maya let the words wash over her. Anger was the enemy of technique. Emotion made you sloppy. She needed perfect clarity for what came next. 5 meters, 4. She could feel the wall behind her now, could sense its presence even without looking. Her positioning had to be exact. Too close and she would have no room to execute the throw. Too far and the angle would be wrong. 3 meters. Sensed victory approaching. His neural predictor was feeding him data, telling him that Maya was trapped, that her options were narrowing. He prepared what was clearly meant to be a finishing strike, pulling back one massive fist and channeling all his gravitational assist into it. 2 meters. The crowd leaned forward, sensing the end. Even Maya's supporters looked resigned. This was it. The primitive human about to be crushed by superior alien technology, broadcast across the galaxy as a lesson in hubris. 1 meter. Maya stopped retreating. She planted her feet and dropped into a low stance, every muscle coiled and ready. To anyone watching, it looked like she had finally decided to make a stand, to face the inevitable with at least some dignity. Only Maya knew the truth. This was not a last stand. This was the setup. Launched his finishing attack. The gravitational assist pushed him forward with massive acceleration. His fist came at Maya's head fast enough to blur. The neural predictor had calculated the perfect angle, the optimal point of impact. But the neural predictor was designed to anticipate blocks or dodges. It was not designed to anticipate what Maya did next. She did not block, she did not dodge. She stepped into the attack, grabbed extended arm with both hands, dropped her hips low, and executed a perfect hip throw. In a normal fight, this might have worked but would not have been devastating. Was too heavy, too strong, too well-armored. But this was not a normal throw. Maya used every ounce of his enhanced momentum against him. The gravitational assist that was supposed to power his killing blow became the energy source for her technique. His weight, his speed, his technological advantages all became hers to direct. She pivoted on her lead foot, using the full rotation of her hips and core. Her grip on his arm was precise, leveraging his own joints against him. And she aimed him not at the ground, but at the reinforced wall. Time seemed to slow. Maya Sauce's eyes widen in surprise as his neural predictor realized too late what was happening. She saw the crowd beginning to react, mouths opening in shock. She saw the exact point on the wall where he would impact, calculated down to the centimeter. Then time caught up, and physics took over. Hit the wall with the combined force of his enhanced charge, Maya's leverage, and the perfect transfer of momentum. The impact was not spread over his whole body. It was concentrated on his shoulder and upper back, driven into a single point on the wall. The sound was incredible, not a thud or a crash, but a sharp crack like thunder in a closed room. The reinforced, designed to absorb energy blasts and distributed impacts, met a force it was never designed to handle. Kinetic energy, massively amplified, focused on a single point. The silence lasted 3 full heartbeats. Then chaos erupted. Engineers rushed onto the arena floor, their scanning equipment already active. Medical teams descended on, who lay motionless among the rubble. Security personnel activated emergency protocols, establishing a perimeter around the damaged wall. The crowd's shocked silence transformed into a roar of confused voices, everyone trying to understand what had just happened. Maya stood perfectly still, her chest rising and falling with controlled breaths. Her arms ached from the throw. Her legs trembled slightly from the strain of absorbing the recoil. But she was upright, conscious, and victorious. Instructor reached first. The warrior was breathing but unconscious. His armor showed a massive crack running from shoulder to hip. His neural predictor sparked with dying electrical current. The gravitational assist units had overloaded on impact, their circuits fried beyond repair. "He lives," announced, his voice carrying across the arena. "The safety field's engaged in time. Commander will recover fully." A collective sigh of relief rippled through the crowd. Whatever else this meant, at least it was not a tragedy. The medical team lifted onto an anti-gravity stretcher and rushed him toward the medical facility. His 4 arms hung limp, but Maya could see his chest rising and falling steadily. Turned to her, all 4 of his eyes studied her with an expression Maya could not read. Shock, certainly, but also something else. Curiosity, maybe, or respect. "Lieutenant Collins," he said formally, "please remain on the arena floor while we assess the situation." Maya nodded. She walked to the edge of the combat circle and sat down cross-legged, suddenly aware of how exhausted she was. Adrenaline was fatting, leaving behind the reality of what she had just done. She had shattered a wall rated to withstand military-grade energy weapons, using nothing but physics and technique. The crowd's noise intensified as replay footage appeared on the massive screens surrounding the arena. The throw played in slow motion from multiple angles. Maya watched herself execute the technique, saw the precise moment when momentum transferred completely, saw the instant of impact when force met structure. A group of galactic physicists had materialized near the shattered wall, their scanning equipment painting the air with holographic data. They were arguing loudly in 3 different languages, gesturing at the calculations appearing on their displays. "Impossible," one of them kept saying. "The force vectors do not match expected parameters." Another physicist, a tall with deep purple skin, shook her head vigorously. "No, look at the kinetic multiplication. She used his gravitational assist against him. The enhancement meant to increase his strike power became part of her technique. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant." fought his way through security to reach the arena floor. His face was pale, but his eyes were bright with excitement. "Maya, are you okay?" "Tired," she admitted, "but okay." "That was insane. That was the most insane thing I have ever seen." He laughed, slightly hysterical. "Do you know what you just did? You broke the arena that has stood for 300 years without a scratch. You broke it with a judo throw." "Hip throw," Maya corrected automatically. "And I didn't break it. Gravitational assist broke it. I just aimed." Ambassador Murphy arrived next, flanked by 2 security officers. The diplomat's face was unreadable. She stared at Maya for a long moment, then did something unexpected. She laughed. "Lieutenant Collins, you are either a genius or the luckiest person alive." Murphy shook her head in disbelief. "Possibly both. Do you have any idea what this means?" "That I won the duel," Maya offered. "That you demonstrated a fundamental flaw in the galaxy's approach to combat training." Murphy gestured at the physicists still arguing near the wall. "Those are not just scientists. 2 of them sit on the Galactic Defense Council. They design weapon systems and defensive doctrine for half the coalition species. And you just showed them that all their technology might be vulnerable to someone who truly understands basic physics." Maya had not thought that far ahead. She had been focused on surviving the duel, on proving that Earth's methods had value. The broader implications were only starting to dawn on her. Instructor returned, accompanied by the Institute's commandant. The commandant was an ancient, his scales faded to pale silver with age. He rarely left his office, preferring to observe training through remote feeds. His presence now was significant. "Lieutenant Collins," the commandant's voice was surprisingly gentle. "That was a most unusual victory." "Yes, sir," Maya said. She stood and bowed respectfully. "Walk with me." It was not a request. They walked to the shattered wall while engineers continued their assessment. Up close, the damage was even more impressive. The had not just cracked. It had failed catastrophically, the metal torn and twisted by forces it was never meant to endure. "I have been commandant of this institute for 42 years, the old said. "In that time, I have seen thousands of duels. I have watched warriors from every corner of the galaxy demonstrate their species' finest techniques. Never have I seen the arena itself damaged." "I did not mean to destroy property, sir," Maya said carefully. "I meant to win." "And you succeeded." He studied the wall with one clawed hand. "But you succeeded in a way that raises uncomfortable questions. This was rated to withstand impacts of 12,000 pounds per square inch. Our engineers estimate that your technique generated impact force exceeding 30,000 pounds per square inch." "How?" Maya took a breath. This was the moment where she either kept Earth's secrets or shared them freely. She thought about her father, about the generations of human fighters who had learned through pain and failure. They had not hoarded their knowledge. They had taught anyone willing to learn. "The galaxy's combat systems rely on technology to enhance natural ability," Maya began. "Gravitational assists make you faster and stronger. Neural predictors make you more accurate. Energy shields protect you from consequences. All of this is wonderful technology, but it creates a problem." "Which is?" The commandant watched her with keen interest. "You never learn to fail properly." Maya gestured at her own body. "On Earth, we train without safety equipment. When we make a mistake in balance, we fall and get hurt. When we throw a punch wrong, our hand breaks. When we absorb impact incorrectly, we get injured. So we learn, through painful experience, how to move efficiently, how to use our bodies as complete systems rather than collections of enhanced parts." She pointed at the wall. "Commander is a skilled warrior, but his neural predictor does his thinking. His gravitational assist handles his balance. He never had to understand force multiplication at a fundamental level because his technology did it for him. When I redirected his momentum, all that power became mine to use." The commandant was quiet for a long moment. "You are saying that our advancement has made us weaker." "Not weaker," Maya corrected. "Less complete. Technology is not the problem. Dependency is. If understood leverage and momentum the way I do, his enhancements would make him unstoppable. Instead, they became a vulnerability." The old scales rippled in what might have been laughter or sadness. "The young always show the old their blind spots. Come, we must address the spectators." They returned to the center of the arena. The crowd had not dispersed, too curious about what would happen next. Cameras from every major galactic news network were focused on them. Maya realized with a start that her face was probably being broadcast to billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. The commandant raised his hand, and the crowd quieted. Today we witness something unprecedented. Lieutenant Maya Collins of Earth has won her ceremonial duel against Commander through a technique that none of us anticipated. In doing so, she has taught us a valuable lesson about the difference between technological capability and fundamental skill. He paused, letting his words sink in. Effective immediately, the Galactic Combat Institute will be restructuring its curriculum. We will be adding courses in what Lieutenant Collins calls fundamental physics combat. We will be studying Earth's training methodologies. And we will be learning, as we should have been all along, that technology enhances but does not replace true understanding. The crowd erupted in mixed reactions. Some cheered, others argued. The debate would probably continue for months, but Maya saw acceptance in many faces, recognition that something important had been revealed. Stepped forward. Lieutenant Collins, you have proven your skill beyond any doubt. On behalf of the Institute, I formally apologize for underestimating Earth's combat traditions. We have much to learn from your world. Maya bowed, and we have much to learn from yours, instructor. My technique worked because I understood both systems. That's the real lesson. Not that one way is better, but that combining knowledge makes us all stronger. As the formal ceremonies concluded and the crowd began to disperse, Maya finally allowed herself to feel the full weight of exhaustion. Helped her to the medical facility for a standard post-combat examination. Nothing was broken, just bruises and strained muscles that would heal in a few days. In the recovery room, she found an unexpected visitor. Sat on a medical bed, his armor removed and his body wrapped in healing membranes. His 4 eyes focused on her with an expression she could not quite read. "Human," he said quietly, "I owe you an apology." Maya pulled up a chair. "You were defending your traditions, I understand." "No," his mandibles clicked softly. "I was being arrogant. I assumed that because your methods were different, they were inferior. I mocked you without trying to understand. That is not the behavior of a warrior. It is the behavior of a fool." He extended one hand in a gesture Maya recognized as a sign of respect. "Would you teach me? Your Earthborn stance, your understanding of force and leverage. I want to learn what I have been missing." Maya clasped his hand firmly. "I will teach you everything I know, and in return, maybe you can teach me about neural predictors and gravitational assists, not as crutches, but as tools to enhance technique." Sighs brightened. "A fair exchange. When I am healed, we begin." "When you are healed, we begin." As Maya left the medical facility, she saw the sun setting over Prime. The sky turned colors that Earth had never known, alien and beautiful. She thought about home, about her father in his garage gym, about the generations of human fighters who had built the knowledge she carried. They would be proud, she thought, not because she had won, but because she had shared what the morning after the duel, Maya woke to find her communicator flooded with messages. Interview requests from galactic news networks. Questions from military academies across 36 worlds. Even a personal message from a member of the Galactic Defense Council asking for a consultation on combat doctrine. She deleted most of them. Fame had never interested her. Knowledge did. The Institute had suspended regular training for 3 days while engineers assessed the arena damage and administrators debated curriculum changes. Maya used the time to rest, to let her bruised muscles heal, and to think about what came next. On the second day, knocked on her door carrying 2 cups of coffee. Real Earth coffee, probably costing him a month's stipend to import. "You're famous," he said, handing her a cup. "There are 3 documentary crews asking permission to follow you around." "I hope you told them no." Maya sipped the coffee gratefully. It tasted like home. "I told them you were in meditation and could not be disturbed." Sat down, grinning. Which was technically true if meditation includes sleeping 14 hours straight. Maya laughed. "My body needed it. That throw took everything I had." "Speaking of which," pulled up a holographic display from his tablet. "The physics department published their analysis. They're calling your technique the Collins redirect. You're in academic journals now." The display showed complex mathematical models of the throw, breaking down force vectors and momentum transfer. Maya skimmed through it, finding the conclusions interesting. The physicists had correctly identified how she used gravitational assist against him, but they had missed some of the subtler aspects. The micro-adjustments in her stance that confused his neural predictor. The way she absorbed and redirected impact through her whole body rather than just her arms. "It's good analysis," she said, "but incomplete. They're studying the result without understanding the foundation." "Then teach them," gestured at the messages on her communicator. "That's what half these requests are about. Universities want you to lecture. Military academies want demonstration. The Coalition Defense Force is offering you a consulting position." Maya set down her coffee. "I'm not a teacher, I'm a student who got lucky." "Lucky?" Eyebrows rose. "Maya, you calculated force vectors that professional physicists didn't think were possible. You executed a technique under pressure that required perfect timing and positioning. That's not luck, that's mastery." Before Maya could respond, her communicator chimed with a priority message. It was from instructor, requesting her presence at the administration building within the hour. The meeting was held in the commandant's private office, a room Maya had never entered before. The walls were covered with artifacts from hundreds of worlds, gifts from graduates who had gone on to distinguished careers. The commandant sat behind an ancient desk made from a single piece of crystal that seemed to glow with inner light. Was there, along with Ambassador Murphy and two beings Maya did not recognize. One was a tall, thin creature with silver skin and too many joints in its arms. The other looked almost human, except for the geometric patterns that shifted across its face. "Lieutenant Collins, thank you for coming." The commandant gestured to a chair. "Allow me to introduce council member of the Galactic Defense Council and professor from the Institute of Advanced Combat Theory." Maya bowed to each of them, trying not to show her nervousness. These were not just influential people. These were beings who shaped military policy for half the known galaxy. "Your demonstration was most enlightening," said. Their voice sounded like wind chimes. "It revealed vulnerabilities in our current combat doctrine that we had not considered. The over-reliance on technology, the lack of fundamental physical training. These are systemic issues that affect millions of warriors across the Coalition." "I did not mean to criticize," Maya said carefully. "I only meant to show that different approaches have value." "Criticism is valuable when it is true," Professor said. The patterns on their face shifted to something that might have been a smile. "We have been analyzing combat footage from the past century. Do you know what we found?" Maya shook her head. "Warriors using enhancement technology show a 43% higher failure rate when their equipment is damaged or disabled. They panic. They revert to poor technique because they never learned proper fundamentals. Your species, training without such enhancements, does not show this vulnerability." The commandant leaned forward. "Lieutenant Collins, we are restructuring the Institute's entire combat curriculum. We want to incorporate Earth's training methodologies, but we need someone who understands both systems. Someone who can bridge the gap between traditional techniques and modern technology." "You want me to teach," Maya said. "We want you to lead," spoke for the first time. "A new department focused on fundamental combat physics. You would have authority to design the curriculum, select instructors, and establish training protocols. You would teach the teachers." Maya sat back, overwhelmed. "I'm 26 years old. I'm barely qualified to be a student here, much less run a department." "You shattered a wall that had stood for 3 centuries," Ambassador Murphy said quietly. "You defeated a warrior with 400 years of military tradition. You did these things not through superior technology or raw power, but through understanding principles that the rest of the galaxy had forgotten. If that does not qualify you, what does?" "Besides," the commandant added, "you would not be alone. We are recruiting instructors from Earth, your father, for example. I understand he has 40 years of combat training experience." Maya's heart jumped. "My father." "We contacted him yesterday," Ambassador Murphy said with a small smile. "He said, and I quote, 'About time someone asked the folks who know what they're doing.' He's willing to come to Prime and help establish the program." The image of her father, her worn-out boxing coach father, teaching alien warriors how to fight properly made Maya want to laugh and cry at the same time. He would love it. He would absolutely love it. "There's more," said. "The Defense Council wants to sponsor a galaxy-wide initiative. Combat Excellence Through Fundamentals, we're calling it. Every Coalition military academy will be required to include basic physical training without technological enhancement. Your methodology will be the foundation." "My methodology?" Maya felt lost. I just trained the way humans always have. Exactly, Professor said. You trained in a way that respects the reality of physics rather than depending on technology to overcome it. That is the lesson the galaxy needs to learn. Maya looked at each face around the table. They were serious. They genuinely wanted to change how the entire coalition approached combat training based on what she had demonstrated in a single duel. Can I think about it? She asked. This is a lot to process. Of course, the commandant said. Take 3 days, but know this, Lieutenant Collins, what you did in that arena was not just a personal victory. It was a revelation. The galaxy is watching to see what Earth does next, what you do next. Maya left the meeting feeling like she was floating. She walked through the Institute grounds without seeing them, her mind spinning with possibilities and doubts in equal measure. She found herself at the arena without consciously choosing to go there. The shattered wall had been repaired, new gleaming in the sunlight. But there was something new. A plaque had been mounted next to the repair, written in 20 different languages. She read the common galactic version. On this site, Lieutenant Maya Collins of Earth demonstrated that fundamental understanding surpasses technological dependency. May all who train here remember that tools enhance, but knowledge endures. They finished it this morning. His voice came from behind her. The warrior walked slowly, still healing, but upright and strong. The commandant insisted. It's too much, Maya said. I just want to fight. No, stood beside her, looking at the plaque. You changed how we think. That is far more important than winning. I have been a warrior for 60 years, human. I thought I understood combat. You showed me I understood technology, not fighting. There is a difference. He turned to face her. I have a request. When you establish your new department, I wish to be your first student. Not your assistant, not your colleague, your student. I want to learn what I should have learned decades ago. Maya looked at the massive warrior, humbled and sincere, and felt something shift inside her. Maybe this was not about her being qualified or ready. Maybe it was about being willing to share what she knew, to help others grow even while still growing herself. You'll be a terrible student, she said with a slight smile. You're too used to technology doing the thinking for you. It will be frustrating and painful. Good, said. I have been comfortable for too long. Comfort makes warriors weak. Over the next 3 days, Maya thought constantly about the offer. She talked to who encouraged her enthusiastically. She talked to Ambassador Murphy, who explained the political implications with diplomatic care. She talked to her father over a long video call, and he gave her the advice that finally decided it. Kiddo, I can't tell you what to do. You're grown now, making your own choices, but I can tell you this. Knowledge is meant to be shared. If you've got something valuable and you keep it to yourself, that's waste. If you share it and it helps people, that's legacy. You decide which one you want. On the 4th day, Maya returned to the commandant's office. I accept, she said simply, but I have conditions. Name them, the commandant said. First, this department does not teach Earth methods as superior. It teaches fundamental principles that every species can adapt to their own physiology. We're not making everyone fight like humans. We're teaching them to understand the physics that makes all fighting work. Agreed. Second, every student who enters this program starts as equals. No rank, no privileges based on species or technology. Everyone learns the basics from the ground up. Agreed. Third, I want as my assistant instructor. He understands both sides now, the technological and the fundamental. That makes him valuable. The commandant's scales rippled with amusement. I suspect Commander will have opinions about being an assistant. He already agreed, Maya said. I asked him yesterday. Then it seems you have thought this through. The commandant stood and extended his hand in the human gesture of agreement. Welcome to your new position, Director Collins. The title felt strange. Director. Maya Collins, director of anything, much less a department that would influence combat training across the galaxy. But she took the commandant's hand and shook it firmly. The news spread quickly. By evening, the announcement was on every galactic news feed. Earth's primitive warrior, as some still called her, would be teaching the galaxy how to fight properly. The irony was not lost on anyone. Maya stood in the empty arena that night, the same place where everything had changed. She thought about the path that had led her here. A farm in Montana, a father who taught her that physics never lies. Years of training without safety equipment, learning through bruises and failures. The decision to join the coalition military. the mockery when she arrived at the Institute, the duel that changed everything. Each step had been necessary. Each failure had taught her something essential. And now she would pass those lessons on to others, not as Earth's representative, but as someone who understood that knowledge belonged to everyone. She assumed her stance one last time in the empty arena, feet shoulder-width apart, knees slightly bent, hands loose and ready, the Earthborn stance that had drawn so much mockery and had proven so much more. Tomorrow the real work would begin. Building a curriculum, training instructors, teaching beings from across the galaxy that technology was a tool, not a replacement for understanding. It would be hard. It would be frustrating. Many would resist. But Maya was not afraid of hard work. She was from Earth, where nothing came easy and everything was earned. That was the real lesson, she realized. Not that humans were better warriors, but that humans understood struggle. They understood that strength came from overcoming difficulty, not from avoiding it. The stars were bright above Prime. Somewhere among them was a small blue planet where a species had learned to fight because their world gave them no choice. Now that species would share what they had learned, would help others become more complete warriors. Maya smiled and walked toward her quarters. She had messages to send, plans to make, a future to build. The girl who stood in a simple stance had become the woman who would teach the galaxy what that stance really meant. Not weakness, not primitive stubbornness, but the foundation upon which everything else was built. The foundation of understanding that no technology could replace, and no mockery could diminish. The foundation of Earth. Why taught her? Knowledge grew stronger when it was given freely. Her communicator chimed, a message from Earth. She opened it and saw her father's face, grinning wide. Saw the fight on the galactic feed, kiddo. The guys at the gym went crazy. I told them you knew what you were doing. He paused, his expression becoming serious. Your mom and I are proud, not just of the win, but of how you handled it, with respect and honesty. That's what really matters. Maya smiled and sent a quick reply. Thanks, Dad. I learned from the best. See you when I get home. She looked back at the Institute, at the arena with its shattered wall being repaired by engineering teams. Tomorrow, everything would change. Students would want to learn from her. Instructors would revise their teaching. Earth's position in the galaxy would shift. But tonight, she was just Maya Collins from Montana, tired and sore and happy. She had done what she came to do. She had shown them what Earthborn really meant. The wall held for exactly 1/10 of a second. Then it shattered. Fracture lines spread outward from the impact point like a spiderweb made of lightning. The screamed as molecular bonds broke. Warning klaxons began to blare. Safety fields activated automatically, creating barriers to protect the crowd from debris. A section of wall 10 meters wide exploded outward in a shower of metal fragments. Emergency systems kicked in, stabilizing the structure before the whole wall could collapse. Fell to the arena floor in the middle of the debris field, his armor cracked, his enhancements sparking and dying. Maya stood in her Earthborn stance, breathing hard but controlled. Around her, the arena was completely silent. 10,000 beings from hundreds of species sat in stunned disbelief, unable to process what they had just witnessed. Then started clapping, slow at first, then faster. The sound echoed in the shocked silence like gunshots. The night before the duel, Maya could not sleep. She stood by her window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, the little blue marble that had spawned a species tough enough to survive anything. Her species, flawed, violent sometimes, but endlessly adaptable. Tomorrow, she would show the galaxy what that meant. Her hands were steady as she went through the motions one last time. The stance, the grip, the pivot, the throw, every movement burned into her muscle memory until it was not thought, just instinct. Tomorrow, they would see what Earthborn really meant. Her father's voice echoed in her mind again. Technology fails, kiddo, but physics never lies. She smiled and began to plan.